What's up, vape fam? Sorteal here, and welcome to the Vaporworks lab. Vaping on the Son AIO from Vapors Cloud. Got the Odd Job from Vapors Cloud on the inside there. I'm really digging this Boro bridge. It is an RTA-like style of Boro bridge, which I'm not normally a big fan of, but the Odd Job pulls it off very well. It wicks great. You can put a 3mm ID coil in it, build a little bit lower. It does direct lung very well. Honestly, it's more designed for direct lung than anything else. So yeah, really enjoying the Odd Job in this. Not what we're here to talk about today, although we are going to talk about a Boro bridge. This one comes from Veepon. It's the Tita X RDTA Boro bridge. Now, when I first saw this thing, I was really pumped for it because it looked like it would do a direct lung pull very well. Turns out it does do that, but it also does MTL and restrictive direct lung very well. So what we're going to do, we will dive on over, take a look at this, break it apart. I'll show you all the ins and outs. We'll build it, wick it, juice it, come back up, vape on it in the Xeon Boro device from Damn Vape, and I'll tell you guys what I think. So let's go ahead and dive on over. All right, this is the package that your Tita X RDTA Boro bridge from Veepon comes in. Got the black one here. Full sleeve just pops off. Pop this up, get a user manual, make sure you take a look at that. Pop that away. And there is your Boro bridge. You get 3 different styles of top cap with this one. Now it comes pre-installed with the blank right here. I went ahead and swapped it over to the honeycomb, but you also get 2 open slits. This has a lot of airflow to it. So if you're looking to build really low in this, maybe stick this in a mechanical Boro device, this top cap right here may be your best option. You get an absolute ton of airflow pins. So this actually does 2 different styles of airflow. Side on, thanks to the top cap, and bottom airflow from this opening right here using airflow pins. You get a 1mm, 1.2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, and no pin, or actually this one right here is just wide open at 4mm. You also get a blank, so if you want to just close it all the way down, use nothing but side airflow, you can cut off that bottom airflow opening using that right there. Pop this out for a second. You also get a bunch of spare gaskets, O-rings. You get a couple of extra grub screws, I dig that. And you get a bunch of extra mesh wicking rods. This thing only uses 2, but they are very thick and they give you plenty of extras. This right here is the pin that comes pre-installed. It is the 1.5mm airflow pin. I swapped this out for the 3mm one, basically kind of using the side airflow with this. It was a little too tight of a pull for me, so upped it to the 3mm and we're good to go. Let's take a look at the actual Boro bridge itself. Yeah, like I said, you got 2 mesh wicking rods, but they are big fat ones. Got your undercoil airflow right there, fill port right here. You do get a spare one of these that's in black, so if you don't like the red kind of sticking out, you can swap it for a solid black one. This comes off. You'll want to make sure this is in each one of those top caps before you put them on. Just kind of slides in there and then pops into place. It is a little loose, so a lot of times it will just fall out very easily. So just be careful with it. Make sure you press it down in there really good to get it to catch. Here's your deck. Like I said, we've got the 3mm airflow pin in there. There's your wick wells with your mesh wicking rods. Grub screws are Phillips, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it is what it is. So essentially, your coil legs are going to go underneath these grub screws, tighten them down. Got little guides depending on which way your coil is wrapped. It does not fit 3mm ID coils very well at all. Depending on the style of coil, if it was something like a Clapton or dual core fuse Clapton, you may be able to fit a 3mm, but this thing was definitely designed for 2.5mm ID coils. That's what we're going to be using today. I'm going to use some Coilology Alien V2s. These come out to 0.3. It should be about perfect for this bridge, but you can definitely build lower on this thing if you like. Bottom here, this just comes off. The same on both sides, so it doesn't really matter which way you screw it down. That's your 510 pin. Just kind of spin it all the way down with one motion, tighten it, and you're good to go. That's how good those threadings are. So if you want to take the whole thing apart, you can take your 510 pin out and the whole thing just kind of comes apart. If you need to clean the inside of the tank or anything like that, honestly, you can just take your mesh wicking rods out. These openings are so large, you can just dump your tank, fill it up with water, shake it up, and rinse it out. So pretty easy to maintain overall. All right, let's go ahead, slap this thing on a mod, and we will install some coils, or a coil, I should say. Really like the threading. Here we go, Phillips head, which, like I said, is unfortunate. Not sure why they went Phillips. Back these out pretty good without them falling out. Grab our coil. Now you're going to want to bend the legs on this. So you're going to want to take it with your coiling rod, obviously, and then just bend the legs outwards. So they kind of stick out like that on the sides. Or if you're buying coils from a coil maker and they are specifically for Boro, a lot of times they will already come like this right here. So what we want to do, get one leg lead under there. This other one we may have to unscrew a little bit more. There we go. That ought to work right there. Tighten this down. Like I said, you have such a limited space between this catch on this side for your coil leg and the actual grub screw that 3mm ID coils just don't really work very well in this thing. Like I said, if you've got just straight Claptons, or maybe you just want to do a 3mm round wire build in this, that might work, but this definitely seems like it was designed for 2.5mm ID coils. We're going to adjust it a little bit. Raise these up. Flip our leg leads. I'm going to get them as close as you possibly can. I think that'll work. I don't think that's going to touch. All right. Looks pretty good. Could have got those leg leads a little closer, but I don't think they're in danger of touching anything. Besides, on the back sides, it's just the kind of acrylic top cap there. Got too much metal to worry about. I think that ought to do us. Coming out to 0.15 at the moment. All right, I'm going to actually raise this coil up some, just a hair, so it's not in danger of touching. Plus, that will put the coil a little closer to your drip tip for a little bit better flavor. I think that ought to do it. We're going to use some BP Mods Pro Vape cotton. I dig this cotton just mostly because it's kind of lazy cotton. It's already the exact width that you want. And now doing these wicks is extremely easy. You're just kind of holding it, cutting, cutting. Right like that. And there we go. Easy peasy, ready to go. Not going to thin these out. For one, the Pro Vape cotton is already fairly thin, at least for my taste. So we're just going to kind of lay this in here. And one thing I like to do with this is get it a little saturated, and then you can kind of clean up this wick job and get it to lay right. Basically, the wick well is fairly shallow, but with mesh wicking rods, that's actually good. But trying to lay dry wicks into it can be a bit of a pain in the ass. So we'll get it just basically going. Then we're going to put some liquid in it and see how it does. So as far as the liquid that we're going to use, we're going to use some Candy King's lemon drops in this. It's kind of become one of my favorite Boro liquids. We'll also check, see what our resistance came out to. 0.31. And then let's go ahead, clean our wicks up here. Want to make sure they're laying in there good and they're on top of that mesh wicking rod, kind of patted down onto it, about like that. I did not show you guys, but here's the second one that I have. It's got some liquid. I just removed a build from it to get these out. Okay, basically, you'll have the 4mm airflow pin pre-installed with the 1.5. So let me find it here. So it has this right here. That's the 4mm. This is a screw down. So you can see kind of the notches. You use like a flush nut tool. You can unscrew and screw these down. The smaller ones like this right here, the 1.5, the 1 and 2.5, they have O-rings on them. So they fit right down into that 4mm pin. The 3, 3.5, and of course the 4 are all screw down style. Also looks like this one right here is the 2.5. It is also a screw in style airflow pin. So yeah, if you want to use the 1, 1.2, 1.5, you're going to need the 4mm airflow pin screwed in, and then they just kind of O-ring push down to stay there. If you want to use any of the other ones, you have to unscrew that 4mm pin and screw the new one that you want to use down in there. All right. Sorry, I'm finicky with my wicks. I know. All right, think that's going to do us good. Got our top cap here. Make sure that that little metal brace is in there good. Pop that on there. Looking good, firing good, nothing's touching. All right, let's go ahead, slap this in the Xeon Boro bridge. All right, got the Xeon Boro device from Dan Vape. One of my favorite Boro devices out there. You guys know me, I love versatility. And the Xeon has it in spades. So does the Tita X. Those buttery threads. Drop it in there. Tighten it down real well. Pop this. And let's fill our tank. Easy to fill. I think that did us. A little bit of excess. There we go. Looking good. All right, let's jump back up top. We will vape on this. And I'll tell you guys what I think. Back up top with the Tita X RDTA Boral Bridge from Veepon. We've got the 3mm airflow pin in here using that honeycomb side airflow top cap. Should give us a nice direct lung pull. It's coming out to about 0.31. Let's start out about 40 watts. Should give us around 3.5 volts. Here we go. Very, very nice direct lung pull. But kind of the amazing thing with this Boral Bridge is it will do MTL and restrictive direct lung just as well. If you switch over to the blank top cap, use the 1mm, 1.2 or 1.5mm airflow pin, you get a nice MTL pull. Or you can use a 2.5, get kind of a loose MTL pull. If you want restrictive direct lung, switch over to the honeycomb airflow top cap, use the 1.5 or the 2.5mm airflow pin. You get a lovely restrictive direct lung pull. Then any of the other ones, you get a nice direct lung pull as long as you're using one of the top caps that has airflow to it. The blank with, say, the 4mm airflow pin, you get a direct lung pull, but it's slightly tight. It's not quite restrictive direct lung, but it's not quite a full-blown direct lung pull. Still very nice, and flavor across the board, depending on whatever style you choose, is still going to be absolutely amazing out of this bridge. Crank this wattage up. Let's do 45, should give us about 3.7, 3.6, 3.7. Here we go. Another way I really like setting this up is using lower resistance coils, maybe around a 0.17, and then blanking that bottom airflow and just using the dual slit top cap. Can be a little loud, but the pull off of it is absolutely amazing. All right, I'm gonna pull Graham Green. This is editing Sorteal. So been playing around with the airflow pins. This is the one that we built up for the review. It has the 3mm airflow pin with the honeycomb side airflow. I've got the atemporal panels on here, so we got plenty of top airflow. Very, very good. More kind of airy, almost wind tunnely. This is the other one. This has the 2.5mm airflow pin in it with that honeycomb side airflow. Both of them are coming out to 0.31, 50 watts. This works much better. If you want a direct lung pull out of this, the best one that I've found is to use the 2.5mm bottom airflow pin with the honeycomb side airflow top cap. You'll get the best flavor, the best pull, kind of cuts down on that wind tunnel volume, and you'll be very, very happy. All right, so pros and cons. What do I like? What do I dislike about the Tita X RDTA Boral Bridge from Veepon? As far as cons go, one would have to be the volume to this bridge in direct lung types of setups. Basically, because you really have to use both styles of airflow, you get a little bit of a wind tunnel vibe to it. You use the 2-slit top cap along with a bottom airflow pin, you get a teeny bit of whistle. If you blank out that bottom airflow pin, that cuts down a lot. But for direct lung pulls, this is going to have some volume to it. If you like it in MTL or restrictive direct lung mode, you don't really have to worry about that con so much. Also, as you can tell, I swapped out the fill port cover. I don't know why they went with red by default. Nothing else is red on the Boral Bridge, but at least they give you the black one to kind of swap it out. Another thing with this that is kind of a con to me across the board with a lot of Boral Bridges, there's no easy way to swap out your airflow pin after you have a coil installed. You kind of have to either remove the entire coil or just take one of the legs out, kind of bend it over, pop it out, pop a new one in. It's just a big pain in the ass. And I get that because of where it's located, it's just hard to make that a kind of easy swap while the coil is still installed. But it's just really, really annoying, especially with this one where you kind of have to play around with your airflow pins and your top caps to find that perfect pull for you. Another thing is kind of that bridge section that goes up into the top caps. That's there to make connection. But I wish it fit a little more snug up in those top cap covers. It works fine, but every once in a while you'll go to take your top cap off. It'll just fall out or fall on the floor. Just a little bit annoying. Really, that is about it. Everything else about this is pro. I love that they used mesh wicking rods. They work so much better than stainless steel. They went with the big fat ones, which I think works even better. Flavor off this is top tier. Does not dethrone the atemporal. It doesn't have quite that good a flavor, but it's definitely up there as one of the most flavorful Boro bridges I've ever come across. I like the look of it. I think it looks very cool. And then versatility. Probably the biggest draw for me with this Boro bridge is just how versatile it is. It does MTL amazing, restrictive direct lung amazing, and direct lung amazing, as long as you take into account the volume. So I'm a big fan of this one. I think if you're in the market for a new Boro bridge, you should definitely check out the Tita X RDTA from Veepon. You will not be disappointed. All right, guys, that's it. Vape on, and I'll catch you all in the next one.